but I'm curious for you. Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God.
Your name?
My name is
Giannis Antetokounmpo is the NBA's most overlooked superstar.
Can you put him in an NBA game right now? You probably cannot.
And he told me a year and a half from now you're gonna get drafted and go be in the NBA.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
What is your goal for your career?
I want to be NBA player.
Despite MVP titles, a finals MVP, and a championship, the league sidelines him in favor of aging stars and bigger markets, representing global appeal, loyalty, and dominance.
Milwaukee Bucks select Giannis Antetokounmpo from Athens, Greece.
Giannis embodies everything the NBA claims to value, yet he continues to remain an afterthought. Is this neglect robbing fans of a true superstar? And will the league ever realize what they're missing before it's too late? Giannis didn't enter the NBA as a top draft pick with immediate hype. He was a lanky teenager from Greece, carrying a backstory of adversity and limited exposure. Scouts saw flashes of athleticism, yet critics questioned whether he could adapt to a tougher league. Over time, he blossomed into one of the most dominant forwards in modern basketball. With back-to-back MVP trophies, a Defensive Player of the Year award, and a Finals MVP, he secured accolades reserved for the absolute elite. His growth wasn't just about dunking or raw strength. He refined ball handling, footwork, and defensive awareness. Each season, he brought an extra layer to his craft. Fans watched as he learned from every playoff heartbreak, returning hungrier than ever. Eventually, he led Milwaukee to its first championship in decades, proving that a star could thrive outside the typical glamour markets of Los Angeles or Miami. This is why many argue the league needs Giannis at the forefront. He represents dedication, humility, and global diversity. People saw echoes of old-school loyalty when he re-signed with the Bucks, even as rumors buzzed about flashy franchises. But here's the catch. The NBA isn't elevating him like it did with past mega stars. Television networks fixate on certain teams, giving them primetime coverage, while Giannis and the Bucks occasionally get overlooked. Despite stellar performances, his name often takes a back seat in headline stories. This stands in stark contrast to previous decades, where a fresh MVP might dominate the spotlight overnight. The NBA's older superstars still hold powerful sway. LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant are household names that continue to draw massive attention. They've dominated fan discussions and media coverage for over a decade. Their longevity in the spotlight is impressive, but it also overshadows emerging talents who deserve recognition. By relying on the same headliners, networks, and league partners risk ignoring fresh narratives. Look at how previous eras handled the passing of the torch. Magic Johnson handed the league to Michael Jordan, who then influenced Kobe Bryant. Kobe's prime intersected with LeBron's rise, creating a sense of continuity. Each time, the new face stepped forward while the older star gracefully moved aside. This kept the league vibrant, with fans embracing the next era while still respecting the legends. Today, that handing off feels delayed. Giannis, in many eyes, should have assumed center stage after winning his championship. He posted a 50-point clincher in the finals, delivered captivating highlights, and displayed a fierce competitive spirit reminiscent of the past greats. Yet coverage still leans heavily on LeBron's quest for personal milestones, Curry's three-point records, or Durant's off-court headlines. That's not to say these icons don't deserve praise. They do, but if the league can't promote Giannis and other ascending stars effectively, the excitement around the future might wane. Adam Silver's leadership style differs from David Stern's. Stern prioritized building global icons and was quick to shine a light on new superstars. Giannis, being an international player, might have thrived under that older model. Today, marketing strategies sometimes follow viral social media trends rather than methodically grooming new faces. If the league wants to maintain robust interest, it must pivot. Ignoring Giannis could create a gap when the older stars finally retire, leaving fans with fewer established personalities to rally behind. Meanwhile, outlets keep referencing LeBron's potential retirement timeline or speculating about Curry's next big shooting record. Durant's team changes and ongoing debates about super teams dominate talk shows. These stories are interesting, but they drown out important moments for younger or mid-career players. Giannis sits in that murky middle, not as young as Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball, but not as established as LeBron or Curry in the mainstream media cycle. This position means he's often left out of the narrative that either glorifies aging legends or hypes the next draft phenom. One of the biggest complaints from Giannis's fans is how the mainstream media and league marketing strategies focus on bigger, more glamorous markets. Los Angeles and New York automatically get attention, no matter how their teams perform. The Warriors, buoyed by Curry's shooting prowess and multiple titles, continue to rake in coverage. Meanwhile, Milwaukee doesn't carry that instant sizzle. Even though Giannis is a two-time MVP and an NBA champion, networks often schedule fewer national broadcasts for the Bucks than for teams in major cities. This disparity becomes clear on Christmas Day, a stage once reserved for marquee battles featuring the league's best. When Giannis doesn't appear in those high-profile matchups, it sends a signal that the NBA's marketing engine isn't fully invested in him. Casual fans who might only catch a few games each year miss out on watching him dominate. The narrative then revolves around the usual suspects, leaving the champion from a smaller market overshadowed. Television networks chase ratings, and some execs believe only certain players guarantee big viewership. Yet many in the basketball community argue that Giannis is a global star with a compelling story. Born in Greece to Nigerian parents, he rose from selling trinkets on the streets of Athens to achieving the ultimate success in the NBA. His background resonates worldwide. The league, in theory, should celebrate such a tale daily. Instead, it often falls back on well-established faces that have carried coverage for over a decade. Then there's the matter of trade rumors. The only time Giannis's name floods headlines is when people speculate he might leave Milwaukee. Pundits discuss how unstoppable he'd be in Los Angeles, or how perfect he'd look next to another superstar in a bigger market. That storyline sparks interest, but it dismisses his actual achievements with the Bucks. It also undercuts Milwaukee fans, who supported him through every step. The subtle message: Giannis isn't relevant unless he's on a high-profile team. This approach ignores how successful he's been. He's a finals MVP who stayed loyal to the franchise that drafted him. He's the kind of star the NBA typically wants to promote as a role model, both on and off the court. By not giving him consistent coverage, they feed into the belief that the league prioritizes drama or flashy storylines over genuine basketball excellence. That can turn away viewers who crave more substance. Nikola Jokic, a back-to-back MVP for the Denver Nuggets, faces a similar problem. Despite his jaw-dropping stats and sensational playmaking, he doesn't receive the same hype as stars in coastal markets. The lesson is clear: if you're an international player in a smaller city, you'll struggle to top daily sports coverage, even if you outperform rivals. This marketing gap could hurt the NBA long term. Focusing too heavily on a handful of teams could drain interest in regions that rarely see their squads featured. Giannis represents a missed opportunity to expand the league's horizons, championing an athlete who doesn't follow the typical path. He challenges the perception that superstars must gather in major markets to gain proper recognition. Giannis' evolution as a player has defied certain modern norms. While the league shifts toward three-point barrages, he's chosen to refine an interior-centric approach with a reliable mid-range game. Early in his career, critics insisted he'd develop long-range accuracy to survive. He tried, but the results were inconsistent. Instead of forcing an unnatural style, he doubled down on his strengths: explosive drives, overpowering finishes, and improved post moves. Defensively, he's a menace. He can protect the paint and also chase quicker ball handlers on the perimeter. He's won Defensive Player of the Year, proving his skill set extends beyond scoring. Analysts admire how he anchors the Bucks' defense and sets the tone for hustle. It's rare to see a superstar who devotes that much energy on both ends, especially in an offense-focused era. Over time, his mid-range shot has improved. Though fans rarely see highlight reels of mid-range jumpers, he's quietly added a respectable pull-up. This gives him a fallback weapon when defenders sag off or form a wall near the rim. Such a style is reminiscent of Tim Duncan, who quietly mastered fundamental skills and soared under the radar. Duncan didn't rely on big-market hype, he let his game speak. Giannis appears to tread a similar path, focusing on perfecting his craft and letting success do the talking. That quiet demeanor can hurt him in a league that thrives on personality-driven narratives. He doesn't jump into social media feuds or star in blockbuster commercials every other week. He's not out chasing Hollywood opportunities or stirring drama to grab headlines. In a culture that often rewards the loudest voices, Giannis's calm approach might reduce media buzz. Yet authenticity resonates with many fans who crave substance over theatrics. Meanwhile, other stars embrace the three-point craze, launching from deep to generate quick highlights. Giannis's game still leans on physicality and inside dominance, which some viewers appreciate. They see it as a nod to the older brand of basketball that hinged on punishing drives and mid-range artistry. His approach challenges the notion that every top player must be a sniper from beyond the arc. In that sense, he's broadening the spectrum of acceptable playing styles in modern hoops. It's also worth noting how much punishment he takes inside. Defenders know he'll attack the lane, so they crowd him with multiple bodies. Though free throw routines once became a talking point, some fans mocked his slow method. He's refined that aspect too. Each postseason, he showcases better composure under pressure, culminating in that legendary 50-point clincher to seal the championship for Milwaukee. Despite these accomplishments, sports media rarely devotes the same day-long coverage to Giannis that it gives to, say, LeBron's latest milestone chase. The contrast is stark. A top-tier athlete forging a unique path rarely gets consistent recognition on highlight shows. This fosters the impression that the league itself doesn't push him enough. They let fleeting drama or super team speculation overshadow his steady greatness. Christmas Day has long been the NBA's flagship moment. It's a time for marquee matchups that spotlight the league's best players. So when Giannis isn't featured, it raises eyebrows. The average fan tunes in expecting to see top-tier talent, yet the schedule sometimes omits Milwaukee. That exclusion seems puzzling, considering his status as a reigning champion and one of basketball's biggest stars. This pattern isn't limited to Christmas. Other primetime windows often exclude Milwaukee in favor of more recognizable franchises. Sure, the Lakers and Warriors have massive fan bases. They draw viewers from across the globe, but the Bucks, led by Giannis, have built their following thanks to his meteoric rise. With each big performance, he adds another chapter to his growing legend. Still, the league's promotional strategy often fails to capitalize on that momentum. Fans who want to watch him regularly might be forced to rely on local broadcasts or streaming platforms. Meanwhile, the public sees endless coverage of the same aging superstars. As a result, casual observers who only watch national games might have limited exposure to Giannis's consistent brilliance. This creates a feedback loop. Fewer marquee games lead to less national buzz, reinforcing the idea that the Bucks lack excitement, which further lowers their primetime slots. Online, many Bucks fans voice frustration over these scheduling decisions. They feel the league is bypassing an obvious showcase, missing the chance to build a new generation of fans around Giannis's dynamic play. They recall how the NBA once placed Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant in prime holiday games year after year, ensuring the next wave of fans saw them regularly. Giannis could fill that role, but the current approach suggests a reluctance to deviate from established stars. Some critics suspect market size is the biggest factor, but that logic overlooks the global reach of players like Giannis, whose international background makes him an appealing figure for audiences overseas. By not putting him on center stage, the NBA loses out on a simple way to expand its fan base. If they continue ignoring him on high-profile days, they risk missing the chance to cultivate new viewers enthralled by his skill, humility, and underdog tale. Where does Giannis stand now? He remains in his prime, still refining his mid-range and showing no signs of slowing down. Each season, he leads the Bucks to a high seed in the East, proving his success wasn't just a one-year fluke. Younger fans admire his work ethic and appreciate that he didn't chase a shortcut to a title. His loyalty to Milwaukee resonates, reminding people that homegrown success is still possible in a league where big-name free agents often cluster together. In the long run, a lack of promotion might impact how future generations rank him among all-time greats. Some viewers only recall the stars who dominated headlines. If Giannis doesn't receive the same media fervor, his accolades might be overlooked by casual fans who associate greatness with endless front-page stories. That would be unfortunate, given how his accomplishments already place him among the legendary companies. However, social media offers an alternative. Fans can share his highlights online, building hype independent of traditional networks. Platforms like Twitter and YouTube let people discover his signature blocks, Euro steps, or thunderous dunks. Over time, word of mouth could boost his reputation, bypassing the usual gatekeepers. Giannis Antetokounmpo stands at a crossroads, shining brighter than ever while older stars continue to captivate headlines. His story of humble beginnings, relentless work, and unwavering loyalty should be front and center in NBA marketing, yet the league seems hesitant to elevate him to its pinnacle, favoring established names and glitzy markets. If Giannis secures another championship, perhaps public outcry will force a shift, giving him the recognition he's earned. Until then, fans can only wonder, how long will the NBA overlook one of its greatest talents, and what might it cost them in the end? Let us know your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to catch our next one shown on screen.